Yeah, cool. What's up, man? Oh, wait, we didn't even...
There you go.
Yeah.
What up, y'all?
How you guys doing?
Welcome back to another episode of Some Young Guys. I'm Carlos.
I'm Lemac.
We're at it again.
We are indeed at it again. Yeah, it's been a busy week. A lot of us have had a lot to do this week.
Oh yeah. I was just telling Lemac a little bit ago that I was like a little stressed out, a little bit too much in my head. You know, school, gym, work, and you know, my own personal life stuff.
Yeah.
And I was just like isolated from everything, like short words type thing. You know, kind of just maintain a focused, without having it spill. But I was so in my head that I was spilling in a different way. I don't know if that makes sense.
I think I know what you mean.
It's like you're so concentrating, not cracking, and like your emotion, your face.
Yeah.
That you start pushing things out.
Yeah.
Which are important. Some of the things like my lady will like kind of come up to me or like want some affection. Type of like oh hey babe, how's everything going? I'm like good. Fine. Good. Like just plain and simple, like, and that's bad. That's not good.
Yeah. I mean, that happens.
I mean, luckily, yeah, it happens. It's like a normal thing, but learn how to observe those emotions and actions that you do when you're like in a stressful situation or environment. But learn how to steer away from, or kind of learn how to work with them in different ways or manners. Like, just don't forget about your family and kids and stuff like that. I'm not saying I have kids or a family, but I'm saying like
don't forget your other priorities and commitments. Yeah.
And I was blessed with a ticket to watch Andrew Schultz, the comedian, this past weekend. Yeah. That shit was amazing.
Yeah.
Funny guy, awesome time. I took a break from doing homework. I messaged my instructor. I'm like, hey, I need to take like one more day. Can I have one more day to turn in an assignment? Blah, 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 blah. I just need more time. And then more time was me kind of going out, having a drink, watching this comedy show all by myself. It was kind of weird. It was interesting. I felt a little lonely. I told my woman once I had unwind and kind of laughed and kind of just thought about like, man, I shouldn't be that way. I was like, I felt lonely. Like, I wish you were there. And like, yeah, I met up with some other friends and stuff like that, but it wasn't the same without her there. It was just weird.
Well, it's good that you felt that way too.
No, yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Very, very committed man over here.
Try to.
Yeah. That sounds like a good time though. The comedy show sounds really fun. I heard about it. I just didn't get tickets or a chance to go see it, but it sounds like a good time. Andrew Schultz is hilarious. I don't know if you guys probably know who he is at this point, but if you don't, you should look him up because he's definitely really funny.
He says all the things that many people are afraid to say, but he says it in a way where you're like, you're right.
Saying what we're all thinking.
Yeah. And
Well, that's a sign of a good comedian.
Yeah, definitely. And then he mentioned it too. He's like, I feel like we've all kind of starting to come down from being so tight and like aggressive towards certain topics. We're starting to come back down
To earth.
Yeah, and I'm like, I respect that. That's true. And he started talking about like Hispanic things because he's married to an Hispanic woman, and then you would hear people say like, oh, like, let it out, like, we can fucking take it. And like people like differently around the crowd. You're like, yeah. And then he started making more like Hispanic jokes and like things that come in hand with like Hispanic and then his wife and her family's wife.
There's a very large Hispanic population out here
in Reno.
In Reno.
Yeah.
I did not expect that.
Very big. And then also Philippines.
Like, Filipinos. Yeah.
Filipinos and was it Samoan? Shitload,
Pacific
bro.
Islanders.
Mongs. Like,
Hmong.
Yeah.
Big population. Very, very diverse area out here. I like it.
Me too.
Yeah.
I like that.
Sacramento was a lot of white people, Indian people, and Asians. And that was the predominant majority.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Sacramento. There's a decent black population too. There's not much of it's not a very large black population in Reno, but in Sacramento, definitely also them.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I do see a lot of Hispanics and like Filipinos out here though. Like the majority of the people I work with, they're either Hispanic or Filipino. White, obviously, but
Yeah, but they're everywhere.
yeah. But
They don't count.
no. But anyways, yeah, it was a great time, fun time. How about you? How was your weekend this week?
Yeah, this week it was a lot of work, gym, that whole same deal every week. Figuring out some stuff with my side jobs, and then I actually went down back to Folsom because I had a friend from high school. She just graduated college, and so she had a big party with a lot of people from high school. It's like a little mini high school reunion, and I planned on leaving at 7. Ended up leaving at 9:30 because I was just having a great time.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a really good time. I did not expect to have as much fun there as I did.
Nice.
Because it's high school people, and
Reunion.
it's just like, yeah, you're just not really sure about hanging out with all your friends or I didn't really know who all was going to be there. I knew that she was going to be there and other people from high school.
Oh.
And she did say only cool people, and I'm like, your definition of cool might not be the same as mine, but it ended up being the same as mine because yeah, I made $100 actually.
You made $100?
So one of my good friends from high school, he was there, and he brought his cousin, and his cousin like off to the side because homeboy was talking to some girl from high school, and his cousin off to the side says to me, he's like, my goal at the end of the night is to get Alan in the pool. And I was like, bet? He said, yeah. And I said, how much? He like thought about it for a second. He was like, $100. I was like, bet. And we shook on it. And, I just go and I pick dude up and start walking him to the pool. And he's like, what's going on? I'm in the air. Wait, hang on. Because he sees that I'm going to the pool. And because we weren't using the pool. It wasn't a pool party. There was just a pool there. And because it was the backyard of this girl's parents' house, and they have a pool. So like I said, no one was using the pool, but he was like $100 to get Alan in the pool. I was like, I got you. So I pick him up and I start walking him to the pool. Alan starts freaking out like, no, wait, because he realizes what I'm doing. And then his cousin is like, wait, no, I didn't think you were actually going to do it. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just put him down. Dude still paid me.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, just Venmoed me $100 right there because I was committed and he wasn't.
Damn.
Easiest $100 I've ever made.
I know, right? Like,
yeah.
He actually pulled through. That's
yeah, I know. I was like, cool. He was kind of mad. He was like, I hate you. And he was like, decline it. I was like, it's already gone through, dog. Like,
too bad, bro.
There's no option.
Yeah.
There's no option to decline it on Venmo. It's like, you send it to me and now I have money.
Thanks, bro.
Yeah.
That's
kind of feel bad because he was like, decline it. He regretted it. But at the same time, I was like, we shook on it, dude. Like, I don't know, man. You told me $100. I did it. And yeah. Anyways, it was a good time.
That's funny.
And then went and hung out with my other buddy. That one of my best friends got me in the gym. Patrick, I've told you about him before.
Yeah, you told me.
And hung out with him because it was his birthday the weekend before.
Oh,
but
nice.
everyone was busy, so he did his party that night. And so I showed up late to that one because his party started at 7. That's why I was going to leave hers at 7, but ended up leaving at 9:30.
Okay.
But yeah, it was a good time. Really good decompress kind of thing. Same deal as what you were saying about going to the Schultz concert or the Schultz show.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it was just a good time there, and then came back and took care of some business up here.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
So it's I feel like it's important to do some stuff on your own. Like that kind of made me realize, like, man, I'm not as independent as I thought I was. Because I like going to the gym alone. I like, working out with people and stuff, but also like kind of doing things alone, shopping alone, looking at things alone. Like that's like my peace and free time to kind of regenerate myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In my
You
own
gotta have
mind.
that alone time.
But I noticed when I went to a show, I was like, I would see other people. I think it was just the visual.
Seeing other couples,
laughing together,
other friend groups,
stuff like that. I was like,
yeah.
you know what? I'm like, I feel a little lonely,
Yeah.
But I
should have brought my friends, my girl.
I know. I mean, my girl had to work, and
Yeah.
then it was only one ticket, and then I wasn't.
You got the ticket for free, so it's not like
I wasn't gonna be like, do you have another one?
Yeah, right.
Like beggars can't be choosers.
Exactly.
So,
yeah.
The guy's like, no, go ahead and enjoy the show. It's on me. Blah blah blah. Like you have to save for this trip because he knew I was going to this Europe trip.
Oh yeah,
because I told him I'll buy it off of you, and he told me, oh, it's like $150, and I was like, okay.
That's why I didn't go, because the tickets were $150. Like, could I? Yeah, but should I? Probably not.
And yeah,
Got some other stuff
same
going
here.
on.
And I was like, well, one, I got to save money for this like trip. Two, my anniversary's coming up, so I was like, nah.
Yeah,
I'll have another opportunity. And then it got to the point where it's like, so you're not gonna buy the ticket? I was like, nah, I guess I gotta do this, and that. He's like, I understand. And then the thing is, he went to the first show, which was at 7:40 or something, or 7:45, and then there was a second show because so many people wanted to see him, so they made one at 9:45.
Okay.
So he accidentally bought 2 tickets to he bought 4 tickets, one to 2 for the first show, and then 2 for the next show. And I think the other show, he gave it to one of his girlfriend's sister or cousin or whatever. So eventually I went alone. There was no one like sitting next to me, so I don't even know if they even showed up. So when I was watching the show, like everyone was laughing, couples and everything everywhere, and I was like, damn, I'm hella lonely. But long story short, I had a great time, and I think it's important to develop like a solo thing sometimes, kind of like unwind by yourself, kind of give yourself some time to reflect, enjoy yourself, learn to be by yourself. It's a good thing to have. You might not always have someone next to you or hang out with someone, so don't be those people that kind of like, I can't do anything on my own. Like, don't be dependent.
Yeah.
It's good to be independent. It's a strong thing to have, I believe.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
being comfortable in yourself by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Totally different topic. We were planning on talking about the war on drugs, because you're writing a paper about it, right?
Yeah. I'm writing a paper on the war on drugs. And, it was one of the topics that we had to choose from, and I thought that was the coolest one. Besides, all the other ones are pretty cool, but this one kind of like stood out more to me. I was like, oh, this looks kind of badass to learn and know about, just because it did have a big old impact in America.
Yeah, and the world as a whole, really, like all of North and South America. I'm sure, not entirely sure how it's affected other countries, but I'm outside of the Americas. Is Haiti technically part of? I'm not exactly sure where Haiti is. It's
that's over by like more on the Caribbean side. Like,
yeah,
I guess you can say it's like near Puerto Rico and all that stuff.
Yes, yeah, I remember now. The war on drugs has been terrible for all of us, whether it's taxpayer dollars that got wasted and put towards all kinds of really messed up stuff in terms of how the prison industrial complexes has benefited from it, because that's in a large part funded by the government. The way it's affected minority communities, especially predominantly destroyed minority communities, poor communities throughout the entire U.S. It's been very beneficial for pharmaceutical companies, because you don't get cheaper options that might be at least somewhat as good as some of the pharmaceutical options. Like when it comes to pain relief, a lot of people that have used marijuana, for example, for pain relief and to just manage pain, it's been very good for them to use that. But, all of these different companies, the Sackler family, that Purdue, all of them that got in the opiate market, they make a lot of money from pushing opiates, from, paying doctors essentially to prescribe opiates more than they probably should have. There's been tons of lawsuits against pharmaceutical companies for opiates and overprescribing opiates. And then like they get lawsuits for a fraction of the amount of money that they made from selling the drug. So at the end of the day, it's just the cost of doing business for them, which is pretty messed up.
Yeah, it's jacked up. It all started, kind of like a little bit more context. Like it all started in the 1970s, working its way up to the 80s and 90s, and then boom, what we are now. But obviously a lot of changing now. But in the beginning, President Nixon declared a war on drug abuse, basically, and then eventually his run ended, and then was it Ronald Reagan came into office next, and he kind of like funded more into like the DEA. That's where the DEA was created.
Oh, it was created under Reagan?
Under Reagan.
Oh, wow.
Like he funded this, and that's how it got created, the DEA, out of like some health, it came from like a health organization too, which is weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they put like $1.7 billion into this organization. That's how it grew.
There's a lot of money back then.
A lot of
Yeah,
fucking
that's
money.
a lot of money back then.
Oh, yeah. And then it went from like maybe having 40,000 people incarcerated for drug, charges to like 500,000. It got to the point where like jails couldn't even like maintain the prisons because they had no resources. There was too many criminals, I guess you can say. And these criminals weren't even criminals. Like they were getting, like it was jacked up. It was a jacked up thing they did. Like they would, like especially for like the minorities and like people that have like low income or live like in low class, like Section 8 places and stuff like that, that don't have money to survive in this country. They would be the ones that would be mostly targeted from these law enforcement or like, drug enforcement administrations, where when, they'll go to jail for having not even
nothing. Like an eighth of an ounce of weed,
a joint or something.
Yeah, some crazy stuff back then. Yeah, the little that I know about the war on drugs and especially when it comes to how they attacked really minority communities, the CIA injecting crack cocaine into minority communities to fund the Contra Wars was a huge one.
Mm-hmm.
Most people know about that one, but basically there were Contra Wars. I can't remember exactly what. It was a Latin country they had some internal disputes, and the CIA wanted to fund one side of that dispute, of that coup, I think it was. And so to raise money that wasn't taxpayer money, because they wanted to do this under the table, off the books type funding, they created crack, which is a derivative of cocaine. It's cheaper than cocaine. And they injected into minority communities to essentially create a demand, create a market for them to raise money for whatever dark behind the scenes stuff they wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But then in addition to that, I can't remember whose administration it was. It might have been Reagan's, that made it more illegal. So the penalty for crack possession was actually higher than it was for cocaine possession, which is cocaine was much more expensive than crack. And so what you ended up having is minorities using crack and rich, affluent, typically white people using cocaine. And so you had this disproportionate execution of the law against poor minority communities, and then like no penalties whatsoever for the more wealthy cocaine using communities. And just absolutely destroyed the black community. Predominantly was very heavily affected by crack use. Then there was what that is very much like is the opiate epidemic that's happening right now in the U.S. And the opiate epidemic, once again, it's the Sackler family. That's one of the, I think they own Purdue, which is a huge big pharma type organization. And they had all of these studies that were coming out saying, oh yeah, opiates are non-addictive. They had all these different types of terms for ways that they could legally prescribe opiates, like a breakthrough pain, which was just pain that was breaking through the opiates, which isn't really what was happening. It was that people were addicted to the opiates, and they were saying that they were feeling pain even though they weren't, because they just wanted more of whatever it was, Oxycontin, or there's a couple more. I can't remember exactly which ones, but opiates.
Wait, now?
Well, Oxycontin is still in use.
Oh, yeah.
But
like Oxy, I mean, there's crazier things now.
Fentanyl
like
now,
fentanyl.
too.
Fentanyl's like one of the
Fentanyl's more
dangerous.
recent. I want to say fentanyl came out in like the 2010s, early 2010s, so like 2011, 2012.
I'm not
that
too
time.
sure.
I'm not 100% sure on that. Don't fact check me and let me know. But regardless, that one's more recent. But yeah, morphine, Oxycontin, all of these different opiates, heroin too, of course, being, and that's another thing, is like in the same way that they were disproportionately going after crack as opposed to cocaine, they would go after heroin users as opposed to Oxycontin users. So Oxycontin users were getting Oxycontin prescribed to them by doctors, and a lot of them dying from it because they would overdose, they would get addicted, and then they would look for cheaper options like heroin. And while heroin's illegal, Oxycontin is prescribed. And then so you have this really weird way of the government being able to both profit from Oxycontin, plus these big pharma companies are lobbying the government to make it so that their stuff can be legal, whereas the cheap stuff is not legal. And so it creates it's in business, this is called a moat, where it's like a moat around a castle, where you have all of these different blocks that keep other people out of your industry so that you can reduce the likelihood of having competition.
Exactly.
So that's what a moat is. But essentially it creates this legality moat around creating drugs that, all of these big pharma entities can benefit from, that people that make, I'm not saying that people should be making heroin or that all of these opiates should be legal or anything like that, but it's just a weird, I would honestly say it's a demonic relationship with the government and money, so that all of these, because it's like the love of money is the root of all evil. It's these pharma entities that love money so much that they're willing to sacrifice swaths of populations so that they can make $1. And who cares what happens to the user?
Yeah, it's messed up, man. Like, either these people get addicted, get crazy addicted to, let's say they serve their time in jail and they're like, damn, I just got caught for smoking weed. Okay, whatever. It's not a big
Now they have a record.
Okay, they have a record. The worst part of all, like back in the day, when they have that record for having weed, or crack or whatever they were using, specifically weed. Like, we all know weed is like
pretty harmless.
It's like nothing.
Even though it's Schedule 1, which is the same level of legality as heroin.
Yeah, it's weird, but
like weed is less dangerous than alcohol.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You can overdose on alcohol and you can die from the withdrawals from alcohol.
Yeah, especially withdrawals.
It destroys people.
Like it kills you. Especially you already have some health issues like diabetes or something. That's like the worst thing you can do, put alcohol into your body. But long story short, what I'm trying to say is that, like, people that were caught with this and they came out, they served their time or whatnot, whatever, or they got out early. One, they have their record, and two, it made it difficult for those Americans to either lose their driver license, get their license suspended, and they won't be able to get a license. Two, they wouldn't be able to get a job because of that. Three, let's say like the low income families, they were trying to get some help like by like food stamps and stuff, they'll be denied. You couldn't vote, you couldn't do any of that. Like,
wow,
that's kind of messed up. It's like, okay, we're gonna put you in jail for something that was literally no harm to anyone or anything.
If anything, you're harming yourself a little bit.
And it's like let's say when they got their driver license suspended or taken away, like it would be for, let's say they got caught walking with the joint or something, they'll get their license suspended when it had nothing to do with driving.
Really? I did not know that.
Which was ridiculous. That's
insane.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
So I have no idea why the laws were made that way. No idea why they were so biased in that way. Like, now people are starting to come around and vote differently and kind of acknowledge that wasn't the way to do with it.
Well, the history of marijuana's legality circumstances mostly come from paper industry. There was, I can't remember the name of the business guy, the mogul. He had his own paper mills and an entire industry that centered around paper, whether it was rope, different paper products essentially, and hemp, which is a related plant to marijuana, is a very, very good product to use. You can make plastics out of it. There's a video I saw of basically this guy made body panels for cars out of hemp. So there's a hemp derivative, there's hemp concrete, there's all kinds of different products that can be made from hemp that would have drastically changed a lot of different industries that were producing all kinds of different products, whether it was paper, building materials, that type of thing. And because it was such a threat to those industries, they lobbied the government to make it illegal. Lobbyists destroy our country so far. I mean, like, I haven't really seen very many good examples of lobbyists, mainly because I probably only hear about the bad examples. I'm sure there are some good examples. Like, actually, one example I could think of is the automotive industry, just because I think they lobbied the government to make cars more safe so that people would stop dying in car accidents, like seatbelts, airbags, that type of thing. That is a good example of lobbying.
Okay.
So making society safer. However, yeah, exactly. And it's not necessarily profitable for the auto industry to make cars more safe, other than they're more safe, so they're more desirable. But it's not exactly profitable because it makes it a lot harder for them to make vehicles, because now they have to start running all of these crash tests. They have to make sure that their cars are up to spec on certain safety standards. Safety doesn't necessarily make things cheaper. That being said, with proper safety laws or safety regulations in place, you do get certain benefits. I know that, like, in construction fields, you get huge fines for not being up to par in safety. OSHA, it's a huge joke that OSHA, screw OSHA, that type of thing. But
it's there for a reason.
It is there for a reason. We don't want people to die at work. We don't want people to die in cars. So those are good examples of lobbying, making places physically safer so people don't die from either being stupid or from misuse or all kinds of different circumstances. But for the most part, what I know is lobbyists suck. Lobbyists kind of destroy freedom in a lot of ways. Like, let's see, the gun lobby, the different organizations that lobby the government to make different laws regarding firearms, all kinds of different stuff. Predominantly, it's the food industry, the FDA. They also get a lot of, FDA is more drugs, but the food industry, I think, also is regulated by the FDA. Food and Drug Administration, yeah. So, yeah, the FDA gets a lot of lobbyists from people that used to work at the FDA, from people that used to work in the government, people that, like, there's a lot of stuff that goes on where essentially people that work for the government are almost guaranteed jobs at the FDA, and then those people that worked in the government, because, like, the FDA is lobbying the government to make certain things, or people are lobbying the FDA, rather, to make certain things legal for the producer of whatever food object or drug item it might be, so that they can have their thing approved while other people don't. That's another example of the moat that I was telling you about. If you have food and drug FDA authorization, then you have a huge advantage to other people in your industry.
Oh, yeah.
And so it allows you to actually sell your product, put it in stores, put it on shelves, and then, eventually, possibly, depending on all of the insurance companies, because that's another big thing, is insurance companies are a huge racket as far as making it so that doctors get more of a payout for prescribing this drug that has a name brand versus this other drug that might be the same thing. Because in the medical industry, there are so many generic options.
Oh, yeah.
But then the name brand stuff is way more expensive, but it's also pushed by doctors.
Right. It's funny. It's a funny thing. Like, we have the generic stuff. Like, you go to Walmart and you have Advil, and then you have, like, the Walmart brand,
which is, they're both acetaminophen, right?
It's the same thing.
It's the same quantities too.
But one says, like, fast acting bullshit. It's just, it works the same.
Yeah.
It's all, like, just to get you to buy it. Just like in the hospital, if, like, a lot of people come in and they're like, oh, hell yeah, we get medical grade shit. No, homie, it's the same thing you got on the counter. We just charged you $1,000 for a fucking pain pill that you get a bought for $10 for a bottle. Funny. Yeah. It's insane. There's times when people complain. He's like, wait, you charging me $1,000 for to give my kid Advil or to give the kid Tylenol? And we're like,
I didn't charge anything. The hospital charged.
Yeah.
I just work here. That's one of my favorite sayings. Like everybody says that in every job. I just work here, man.
Yeah, like okay,
I don't make the rules.
I love my job and care about it so much, but then it gets to a point where it goes like beyond my level of like
authority,
and then two, like there's some things that like I shouldn't be doing, but I'm still doing legally. You know, I mean like fixing certain monitors or like connecting certain things, like making sure like things are being sent. All this like
it's not something you're technically.
It's not in my like
job description.
Yeah. And then I'm still doing it because I care about my job and for the people that I'm doing it for.
Of course.
But it gets so complicated sometimes where I'm just like, I don't know, man. I just work here. Like it's that sad point. It's like I did everything I can where I have to respond that way. Like, dude, I just work here. I'm sorry. I did everything I could to this point where I don't understand this one. I'm sorry. I'll keep trying.
Can't do anything more.
Keep pressing buttons till it works, you know?
Yeah.
That's basically what I do, and it works sometimes. So.
Yeah. But, yeah, all in all, the drug industry, the war on drugs, all of it has just been absolutely destructive to the country as a whole, the world as a whole, I would say, especially when it comes to, like, for example, the cartels are bringing in all kinds of fentanyl that actually comes from China. So China sends fentanyl to Mexico, and the Mexican cartels are lacing their product with fentanyl because it's cheaper, and it ends up giving you the same high, but they're doing it. There's no regulation whatsoever in terms of how they make things, so they end up actually killing their clients, which is actually very bad for the cartels. The cartels, from what I've understood, I've watched a few documentaries, they hate when their clients die from,
they're
from
smart.
Stuff.
Smart.
They are smart. They are smart. They're very, very organized, but the regulations are not quite to the level that we would if we were to legalize it in the States. I will say that is one thing that we do well is we regulate things so that people don't die, but also we regulate things so that the people that make the money can make more money.
Right.
And so long as people aren't dying, you know, there's this whole idea of they don't want to give you a cure. They want to sell you a treatment. You know, they'd rather sell you the treatment than the cure. Yeah. Because if they can sell you a treatment, then you're a repeat customer. You're a repeat buyer. But if they sell you a cure, you're cured, and then you go.
You know, it was kind of sad when I realized this is no hate to them, like the medical field or whatnot. You know, that's something I'm striving for, going for. But when you realize what you're really doing, it's kind of like heartbreaking. You know, especially for those people that I've gotten to the point where there's no return. I hate to say it like that, but basically that's what it is. Where I asked one of the nurses on like the first month I was working there. So I was like, so we're just suppressing their pain till they no longer live, and we take care of them here till they slowly die.
Yeah, like
we're just continuously just suppressing till they easily just fade off into nothingness. And then he's like, pretty much.
Yeah.
There's no cure. There's no really nothing you can do. It's either suppressing it or curing it, like, you know, getting rid of it completely, but still it can either kill you. And, you know, in reality, it's just like a business. And I was like, that is sad.
Yeah. There's a big, deep, dark underbelly to most large industries. And this isn't a hit on hospitals or hospital workers, because it's really not them. It's mostly the insurance companies and the pharmaceutical companies themselves that are at fault for a lot of the issues when it comes to prescribed drug abuse. And then it's the DEA, the cartels, and a lot of the, you know, 3-letter organizations, FBI, CIA, those types that that have a really messed up relationship with, because like we could easily go in and stop the cartels if we actually wanted to, like boots on the ground type stuff.
Like, well, I mean,
like why are we in Iraq and Afghanistan and all these other countries? Also, Afghanistan, they actually just recently halted poppy production, which is what's used. For those that don't know, poppies are the plant that opiates are derived from. That's one of the reasons we were in Afghanistan in the first place, because poppies grow well in that climate. It's also illegal to grow poppies yourself. I wonder why. Because you can actually make some pain relieving stuff. Like there's so much stuff that comes from nature that we know, but is not public knowledge. And you can't grow it yourself because there's a vested interest with, that's another thing. I would imagine, we could check ourselves on this. I would imagine poppies being illegal was something that was lobbied by various pharmaceutical companies that are producing opiates.
Yeah. Like, why would
why
they,
else would it be illegal?
Yeah. Well, why would they want you to experiment things on your own, like learn things on your own? Like, why do I have to go to this place and pay like hundreds and thousands of dollars when I can easily do it myself here at home? And then they keep us busy with all this like work and saturate us with media shit. And then like we don't have time to do our own research. It takes literally effort to do it on your own. Like, when's the last time you opened up something about medicine, like how to care for a wound, how to stitch yourself, how to, what type of medication?
It's stuff everyone should know, definitely. Like how to pack a wound if you get stabbed or shot or something like that, which is not super common, but in some places it's more common. It's definitely good to know how to pack a wound so that it stops bleeding and you can get to someone that can stitch you up. Or learning how to stitch yourself up would be very good. Standard health practices should be taught more than they are. And then in addition to that, not only like managing an injury, but also learning how to take care of yourself so that you don't have health problems like diabetes, like general obesity, good exercise practices. These used to be things like we would have PE. I remember actually when I was in middle school, we switched from basically, standard PE where you had physical requirements. You had to run a mile in a certain amount of time, or you had to do this, like different physical requirements to get a grade in PE. And then at some point in middle school, they changed everything. So you actually had to have a folder and then you would log everything, and it was participation based. And so like, if you put in your best effort, then that's fine. Whatever your best effort is, which is understandable, but because there's some people that are just, they're already overweight and whatnot, and so they can't do as much as other people. But maybe we should just I don't even want to say we should make exceptions for those people instead of changing the rules for everyone. Because when you change the rules for everyone, or even make exceptions for a few, people are going to look for the easy way out. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like everyone is going to look for the easy way out unless you've got some, your parents are really solid at pushing you to not look for the easy way out. Most people don't have that kind of experience. Yeah. Most people don't have people in their lives that push them to maximize their potential. A lot of people end up just, looking for the easy way out because that's what their parents did. That's because what everyone around them does. And so they don't know anything other than the easy way out.
Yeah.
Take it easy, man. Like that's the kind of mentality that most people are under. And that's another example of, like we were talking about last time, demoralization. We are going to get into that topic, the Yuri Bezmenov interview. Very good interview. I was talking about that earlier with Carlos. I didn't really prepare anything for that. And I would like, if we're going to do that one, to really go through, watch the whole thing, take notes as we watch it, and give you guys an analysis of here's what he was saying was going to happen. This is what the KGB was up to, because this is back in the 86, I want to say it was? Or 68. It was 86. I think we found out it was 86. But anyway, so this interview happened back in 86. He was former KGB, and he's telling us all about the different ways that they injected KGB agents to kind of sway the political beliefs of a lot of educators in colleges and whatnot. All of these professors that believe all kinds of socialist ideas and utopian ideals that they knew were BS because they came from the communist socialist dictatorship, but they were trying to get Americans demoralized so it'd be easier to take over. And there's a lot of different things that he touched on and talked about, and the strategies that they were using, that if you look at where society is today and what the influences on mainstream culture are today and how people act today, you can really see how everything that they were doing maybe not every single thing, but a lot of what they tried to do was successful. And it has succeeded in a lot of different ways in demoralizing the U.S. And by demoralization, again, we mean removing morals from a culture, not making people sad. But at the end of the day, that's what ends up happening is people are depressed, anxious, sad, all of that because they have no morals. They have no moral foundation to stand on.
Exactly.
And then so because they have no moral foundation, they behave in ways that eventually end up destroying their lives. And then they're sad, depressed, and anxious and don't know why.
Yep. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Crazy world we live in.
It's wild.
Crazy world we live in.
Yeah. But, for now, we're doing a quick episode today. Ended up being just as long as all of our other episodes. But regardless, that's fine. It's good. We were good conversation, good topics, and I hope very informative to most of you. These are all things that you guys should look into, the CIA Contra Wars, the way they funded that, demoralization by the KGB.
Isn't that, sorry to interrupt, but wasn't the CIA one like a conspiracy? Like people were like, oh.
Yeah, people thought it was a conspiracy theory, but it ended up being true. Like they admitted to it.
That's wild.
Yeah, there's all kinds of stuff. I'd love to do more of a conspiracy theory type thing, like all the stuff that's been confirmed, like Project Mockingbird.
9/11. 9/11.
9/11 would be a good one. Fresh and Fit did a great analysis of 9/11. They did a very good one. They had a guy on that was talking about all of the behind the scenes backdoor stuff that was going on there.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, all the countries that were trying to make that happen and allow that to happen. Yeah, it's a lot of stuff there, but crazy stuff. It's a crazy world we live in, and hopefully we can make it a little less crazy, or at the very least bring everything to the forefront so that you guys can make informed decisions about how you conduct yourselves in this crazy world that we live in.
Yeah. Let's not forget about the Titanic thing that just happened.
Bro,
that was wild.
Well, I thought you meant the Titanic and how the Federal Reserve
Oh, no, I'm talking about
sunk the Titanic so that, the people that created the Federal Reserve sunk the Titanic. That's another conspiracy we could get. There's so many conspiracies, and it's not even conspiracy theories. I don't even like calling them conspiracy because they are conspiracies. There are a bunch of people that conspired to accomplish a certain goal, so it is a conspiracy, but I don't like the theory term of it. It's like, oh, these are things that happen that people conspired to do behind the scenes and eventually accomplish their own goals that are not conducive to what we want for our culture.
Yep. But yeah,
that's where we're at. Sorry for somewhat depressing episode because that's a lot of stuff that most people don't want to hear about, but honestly it needs to be talked about so that we can stop having all this depressing stuff happen. If you just stick your head in the sand while all the crazy shit's going on, or you just go to the parties, to the bars and get drunk like nothing wrong is happening, the problem just gets worse.
Oh yeah. And then it's you get blindsided and you're like, oh, what? No one ever told me about this. Well, yeah, we did. I
mean, some people were trying to tell you about it and you just were like, I don't know about all that. I'm going to go get drunk with my homies.
Yeah. It's kind of sad when you're like, oh, you hear people say like, oh, fuck that, bro. We can't do anything about it. Blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah, we can.
We can. If we all know about it, we can all behave better and then also hold the people that are doing the bad shit accountable. And that's really what needs to happen. More accountability. But beyond that, I think we're going to wrap it up here.
Yeah, sounds good.
Awesome.
All right,
guys. Well,
thanks for joining us in another episode of
Some Young Guys. Solving the world's problems, one episode at a time.
That's right. Catch you guys later.
See you.